Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Nerds of E-commerce. It's been a while. I've been kind of off. A few things happened. I managed to screw up my finger really badly. It doesn't look that bad now, but I actually cut it pretty badly, and kind of just wasn't able to move my finger much. So yeah, that happened. And then also, as I own an agency and got quite busy with that as well, some things happened and it kind of snowballed, and I haven't been able to record anything for a while. It just got absolutely manic. So now I'm back. And what I thought we'd do is do a quick walkthrough on some of the things or major concepts around Facebook ads. So there's some things that I think you should know when you're doing Facebook ads that a lot of kind of novice people don't really think about or don't know about. And I thought we'd go through this in a kind of intermediate step. So this is probably not for beginners, but if you've had at least some experience with Facebook ads before, you've at least installed the Pixel, you've run some campaigns, then you shouldn't get too lost on this. Now, we're going to do a whole series on Facebook ads from start to finish. This is more like a precursor to that. I just wanted to get something out there because I've been off for quite a while. So we will definitely revisit that, and we will definitely create a whole course on how to set up your Facebook ads from start to finish, all the things that you need to do in terms of setting up campaigns. We're going to do it in terms of a print-on-demand store that we're running around nurses. So we're going to call it Nurses Loot, and we're going to use that to pretty much show you how to drive traffic to certain websites, whether that be through Teespring, because it's print-on-demand, whether it be Redbubble, or things like Shopify, Etsy, or another one we've been playing around with called Big Cartel. So we're going to use all of these. We're going to show you how to set up the Facebook pixel on the different stores and the different websites, and then also definitely show you how to do it on your own Shopify store as well. So like I said, we're going to be covering Facebook ads in more of an intermediate kind of stance. So we're going to show you some things that I see people making mistakes with in terms of running ads, and then how you can avoid them as well. This won't be the complete tutorial. If you want to see a tutorial on Facebook with all of my best tips, advice, even some secret tactics that I use, make sure you smash that like button. And if it gets over 200 likes, if this video gets over 200 likes, I will definitely do that video. Now, so without further ado, let's talk about some intermediate advice that I've got for you when it comes to using Facebook ads. So some things we're going to cover today is the Facebook Insights tool. Why are we going to use this? Because, well, if you're stuck and you've never launched a campaign before, or you're launching a new campaign for a new product or service or business, then the Facebook Insights tool can be very handy. And it can also be very handy if you've already got an audience on Facebook, say on your Facebook page. We can actually use that to determine what other interests your fans have in terms of what do they like, what other pages are they following, etc. We're also going to talk about something else that's really important, which is why you need to build a sales funnel for your Facebook ads. So a lot of people just think, okay, when they're setting up a campaign, it's going to hit the purchase as a goal and then just try and get as many purchases as possible. But you got to think of Facebook as more of a funnel. And then in terms of how you drive people through that funnel and how you engage with them at different areas of the funnel or different steps in the funnel, that's really important as well. And the next thing that kind of relates to that as well is how to choose the right campaign objectives depending on your goal. So depending on what you're trying to do, or depending on where you are in the funnel or the step in the funnel you're trying to build, then you've got to choose the right campaign objective for this. The next thing I'm going to talk about is CBOs, or campaign budget optimization. So this is a new thing in Facebook where before we'd have to assign ad set budgets at the ad set level. Now we can do it at the campaign level, and Facebook will use machine learning to actually decide where or how that money should be allocated across ad sets. And we found that through testing these two different steps, so testing the old way of using ad sets and assigning the values manually, as opposed to doing it through CBOs and letting Facebook take the reins, that the CBO results seem to be much better on average. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is building up leads for your business and using Facebook to generate leads. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, there's a few things or a few reasons why. So the first off is you want to build up your email list, and everyone knows that the list is where you make your money. Your email list is very, very important. It's probably even more important than your SEO. I would say that your email list is something you should focus on heavily. Like it should be something that you spend a lot of time building, and Facebook ads can definitely help you do that. And the other thing too is it can become part of the funnel. So if you're driving some awareness around an ebook, or trying to get someone to download an ebook, or like maybe an email series that you'll disperse over 7 days, maybe it's like training, then maybe at the end of that you want to sell a course. Or if it's more in the e-commerce space, maybe it's you're talking about a specific product, like maybe a dog leash. And then you can do a whole ebook on why, I don't know, like dog leashes is so important. And at the end of that, you want to sell your product. So you want to retarget people that have downloaded that ebook. So there's things that you can do in terms of building a list that you can retarget on Facebook. And also, like I said, building up your email list, because if once the people are on the list, once your users are on the list or visitors, then you can pretty much get back in front of them anytime unless they unsubscribe. That's the only downside of that. We're going to go in a little bit out of order from what we just talked about, because I think that some of this is more important and some of this is kind of critical knowledge that you need to know. So this is what we talk about when we mentioned campaign budget optimization. Now, these are the two different models that you have. So there's campaign budget optimization, with and without. So without, you would have to go in and you would set a daily budget for each ad set, and you would do this manually. And this is the old way of doing it. So if you had $30, you would then distribute $10 evenly over each ad set, which is fine. But at the same time, you don't know which ad sets are actually going to perform better. You have to spend more time in there, and you're actually trying to manually decide where this is going, where Facebook could potentially do a better job of actually allocating the funds. With campaign budget optimization, Facebook decides which ad sets this $30 gets allocated to, and it's using its advanced machine learning algorithm to decide this. So that's why I said the results are usually a lot better when you let Facebook take the reins. And you can see here that it's very it's uneven in terms of how it's being distributed, because the total conversions, or where most of the conversions are coming from out of these ad sets, that's where Facebook's going to drive most of the money. So you can see in the first example, we've got $10, $10, $10, and then you've got $10 spread out across all three ad sets, but the middle one had more conversions, yet you're pretty much spending the same amount of money on every single ad set. So what you could have done essentially is taken those $10 from the ones that weren't performing that well and put them into the one that is performing well. So on the campaign budget optimization side, Facebook will do this for you. So it kind of saves time, it saves stress, but it also means that you're letting Facebook take the reins. And that's a much better option, because it means you're going to get much better results. So you can see here in this second example of campaign budget optimization, that we put in $30. One ad set's got $7, one's got 18 because that got the most conversions. So that's where the money got funneled into. And then the last one was $5. So obviously that one didn't perform so well, but Facebook has then decided where that goes. And like I said, we've run tests before in terms of doing it the manual way and then also doing the CBO way, and the CBO way beats the manual way hands down, probably I would say 4 out of 5 times. As per usual, my computer has decided to blast off to the moon. So the fan is going absolutely berserk right now. So I'm sorry if that is a bit loud. I just got a new computer last week. It came in, but because my finger has been screwed up, I haven't been able to actually go in and set it up yet. And then obviously I got busy as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting that up and running so I can start recording these videos on my new desktop Mac computer rather than a laptop. Not a massive fan of laptops unless I'm out and about. So can't wait to get my kind of beast, as I call it, up and running, so we don't have to hear this fan go off at kind of like a really loud rate, because I feel like it's going to literally blast off to the moon soon, or like I said, explode in my face. Anyway, getting off that topic, getting back onto Facebook ads, what we want to talk about here is setting up the right goal objective, or the campaign goal for the objective that you're trying to achieve. So in this example, we've got test campaign. So we've got a test campaign. We're just going to go in here. I want to turn this off just in case something happens. So let's go back to campaign, and we will go into campaign. So this is where you can see your goals. This is where you want to make the decision on the actions you want to take. So most people go straight for conversion, and then once they get into the ad set, they'll switch it to purchase as the outcome. And we'll say that's not always the best practice, because it depends on where you are in the funnel. That if no one's ever heard of you before, the likelihood of someone coming in from a cold traffic, which means they've never been to your website before, and actually purchasing is quite low. There's actually a bit of work you need to do to warm them up, as we say. So you need to provide some other brand awareness and trust, or trust signals, whatever it might be, to actually get them to purchase a product, especially if it's on a higher range in terms of you're selling something that's over, probably I would even say $150 to $200. It's a lot harder to convince someone, if they've never heard of you before, to pull out their credit card and spend that money. So this is why we say that it's best to actually create a funnel and then use different campaign objectives and different campaigns to push people through a funnel depending on where they are and where they're coming from. So in this regards, we're going to talk about the funnels in a minute as well. We've got a nice illustration for this, but if you're at the top of the funnel, do you think someone will actually be coming straight through to conversion? Probably not. So there's a few things we could be doing at the top of the funnel in terms of campaign goals to actually try and push them through to the next level, which would be from cold to warm. And like I said, we'll illustrate all this in a diagram in a minute. So what would you do? Would you go conversion and then purchase? No, you wouldn't do that. You'd probably do something else. There's a few things you could do. So think about creative as well, because creative and copy is also really important when it comes to Facebook ads, because it's very visual. You want to capture someone's attention. Think about it in terms of an interruptive advertising platform. It's not like Google Ads where someone's actually searching for something because they're actually in some sort of mode of either buying or researching. On Facebook, you're more of an interruptive pattern. So it's more about someone driving down a highway and you're throwing up a billboard, and that billboard's got to catch their attention because it may be something they want to buy. So how do we do this? Well, it's usually best if we do it in a video and we have something that has like a really clear image, what we call a thumb stopper, that actually wants someone to stop and check it out. So we've got to think about not just who we're targeting, but in terms of creative and messaging, where they are in the funnel, and we want to use different messaging and different creative depending on where they are in that funnel. And again, this will make much more sense in a minute when we start talking about the funnel. So going back to this, if we were trying to target someone in a cold audience, what would we do? Well, we would probably be looking more at traffic. So this traffic goal, because sending someone through traffic in terms of a CPM, so cost per 1,000, is actually much cheaper than trying to send someone through on a purchase goal. So traffic is, we just want them to go and check out our page or go to the website, check something out. Some other things we can do in conversions we'll talk about that's kind of similar as well is something around like view content or view page content, which is also really valuable, and we can create some strong retargeting lists off that as well. But I would say that traffic's a good one, and video views is another one. So if you've got a really good video for your company or your product, this is great in terms of using it to try and get people who are at the top of the funnel, who've never had any interaction with your business before or even been to your website. Because what you could do is have a really good video that explains everything about your product or your business. It has testimonials, it has breakdowns of why it's good, demonstrations, all this sort of stuff. It's a massive kind of like maybe 1 to 2 minute video. Then you want to see if people are actually watching through to a certain amount. So if they're watching through to say like 40 or 50%, maybe that's a good indicator that they're interested. So you want to then build an audience on the back of that and retarget them. So that's one step. Like the other way I said is you could do traffic, and you could push traffic through to the website just to get someone onto it, just so they can start checking it out. And it's probably best if you do that on a product page more than just like a home page. So I would recommend doing that. And the other thing, like I said, is conversions. So you can do things like view page content as a goal. So we're just going to go and have a quick look at that now. So let's just say we wanted to do that. So we're going to go to conversion. We're going to flick across. So the next thing you want to do is look at and make sure that campaign budget optimization is on. And we can see here that it is. So if we want Facebook to decide where the money goes, we want to have a little bit of a higher daily budget, because this is where a lot of people go wrong. They think that they can kind of go a bit more tight at the beginning and cut costs and save money. But unfortunately, Facebook's got to learn things. And unless you've got a big email list or something which helps build lookalike audiences and takes the learning curve, or kind of reduces the learning curve for Facebook, then you're going to have to spend the money to teach Facebook in terms of what customers you're trying to get, or the ideal customer that you're trying to reach. So it's going to take some money to do that. So at the beginning, you're probably going to have a pretty decent budget, I think. And that's why I said that starting off with about $1,000 for a new product to test is probably the best. So what I mean is $1,000 across a whole month. So we got that on, that's on. Okay, cool. We've got conversions on. And we're going to go to our ad set. Now, I don't have a pixel set up on this, so this is going to be a bit of a problem. We're not going to go through how to set up a pixel today because that's a whole thing as well. And depending on what platform we're doing it on, depending on how many accounts you have or the account structure that you have for each, maybe you're running different businesses, maybe you're running one business with multiple businesses inside of it. We need to kind of take a different approach to address all those different things. So, and the pixel itself is kind of complicated at the beginning to set up if you've never done it before. So we will come back to that, but we're going to assume for this thing that we have actually installed the pixel, and we're going to have a look. So there's a whole bunch of things that we could set up here. There's some things like custom conversions as well that we can set up. So, but most of the time, what we'll be looking at from an e-commerce standpoint, about 3 things. So we're going to be looking for an add to cart. We're going to be looking for initiate checkout, and we're also might be looking at something like a lead. So if we've got a downloadable piece of content like an ebook, then we want to track and see how many people actually downloaded that ebook. We also might want to set up things like a subscription service. We also might want to set up things like view content. So this is what I was talking about before at the very top of the funnel. We might want someone to come through on view content. So this is cold traffic. So if I was going to select this would be for the super cold traffic. We want to make sure that that's set up. Now, we could also get away with sometimes trying to push someone towards add to cart as well. Now, what we're trying to do is teach Facebook based on actions to go after certain users who would become our ideal customers. Now, to get enough purchase data for that would take, so we need at least about 50 actions minimum for Facebook to kind of start to learn what we actually need. And to get 50 purchases off the bat when you've got a brand new product is quite difficult. So what we want to do is kind of like, again, go up further in the funnel, and maybe we just want to try and get 50 people to add something to a cart. Maybe we want to get 50 people then after that to maybe do something like initiate checkout, which we've got here as well. So we can have a look right here, and we can initiate checkout. So that could be another thing we might want them to do. And these are things that are kind of like steps in the purchase funnel. And then the more data we can build up, the more actions that people take with either adding to cart or checking out, we can then start to retarget them to try and get them to the next step. So if we move someone down to initiate checkout, what we could possibly do is then retarget them with some different creative, which might be around discounts, or it could be upsell. It could be something that just gets them to take action, which is more of an incentive. And in that stage, you're probably okay to do that, and you should work this into your costings anyway in terms of offering these things to try and get people to make a purchase, especially when it's their first purchase. And you should always say that too. For anyone who has never bought with us before, you get 10% off, etc., etc. So like I said, you should have about 50 actions for Facebook to be able to start to learn what you're actually after or what your ideal customer is. Sometimes Facebook knows better than you do in terms of who your ideal customer is. So you want to kind of let it do its magic. The Facebook algorithm is sophisticated. It is brilliant, and you just want to let it kind of do its thing. And like I said, you might want to go into view content as your first initial action, and that's where you want to push someone through to till you get about 50 of those. And then you're like, okay, cool. Now I want to retarget anyone who's viewed content, and then I want to get them to add something to a cart, and then I want to get them to initiate checkout. And then what we could do at the very end when we're in the hot zone is actually get someone to make a purchase. And we usually have this somewhere as well. Let's see, there we go, purchase. So this would be your kind of like at the end of the funnel. This is the hot. You're trying to get someone to actually pull out their credit card and make a sale. So that's usually the hardest thing to do, like I said, especially if the product is more expensive in nature. So having the purchase event at the bottom is really good. So don't try and just get someone straight to this straight off the bat off cold traffic, because it's going to cost you a lot of money and it's just not going to work very well. So you want to try to create audiences, and audiences are so important in Facebook, probably more so than any other platform. And like I said, the Facebook algorithm is actually amazing, and it is really good at helping you decide or even helping you find your ideal customers. And like I said, sometimes it does a better job of finding your customers than you could ever do. So we're going to go back here and have a look at the different types of events. Again, like I said, we've got add to cart, we've got initiate checkout, we've got lead, and we've got purchase. So this is a Facebook ads funnel, and at the top you've got cold traffic. So this is generally someone who's never visited your site before. Or what could have happened is maybe they were on your site 365 days ago, but they're no longer being tracked. So they're coming back, and in Facebook's eyes, they're a new user. So what we call a lapsed user or a lapsed visitor. Then we got warm traffic. So these are people who have been to your website before. Preferably they've viewed a product page or a sales page, but they didn't take an action. Something else that could kind of fit in here is maybe they have also subscribed to a newsletter. So again, I don't think it's as good as a lead in terms of they've actually come through and downloaded an ebook or something, but it's still definitely very important to track all the people that are signing up for newsletters and things too. So that's why I said you should set up custom conversions in your pixel. And when we go through from the zero to hero video, which will be like an hour long, we will show you how to do that from start to finish. Then we got hot traffic. So the hot traffic is perhaps someone who's added something to their cart, they've initiated checkout, maybe they've downloaded a guide or an ebook or a series or something of that nature, maybe a sample even, which could be a free sample. And then what we want to do is retarget those people and try and get them to purchase. So again, the creative has to be different. The creative has to be something that is very different from something that you would show at the top of the funnel or the middle of the funnel. It should be more focused on maybe, like I said, a discount, upsell, maybe something they get with free, like a free thing they get. It's up to you. But like I said, you should work this into your costings and you should work out if you can give that thing away or if you can give it away as a discount. So you should work that into your costings of your product. You want to allow enough flexibility in your pricing to allow you to do discounts and upsells. So like I said, make sure that you have factored that in. And then each step we would be retargeting with the next step. So what we would do is in cold traffic, we can't really do anything there because we're just trying to get someone onto the page or onto the website. Or like I said, it could be watching a video, for instance. The next thing is when they're in warm traffic, okay, so we want to retarget people that have come through from the cold. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to get them to actually now maybe visit a sales page and go to add to cart, something like that. So we want them to maybe initiate a checkout. We want them to take an action on the website that kind of proves to us that, okay, they're interested or they've had some interest and maybe something stopped them along the line. With hot traffic, it's more about purchase. We want them to purchase something. So we're retargeting people in the warm funnel or in the, like I said, who've also taken some actions in the hot part, which is maybe downloading an ebook, again, initiate checkout, whatever it might be. So we're always retargeting these people with the next step down in the list. Okay, so again, warm traffic, maybe what we want to be doing is getting them to, retargeting them to actually do add to cart, initiate checkout, download guide. Hot traffic is literally, we're just trying to get them to actually purchase something. We want them to complete the purchase. So if they're stuck in initiate checkout, we want them to actually go through and make the sale. So this brings me to the topic of conversion types. Now, in the discipline of conversion optimization or conversion rate optimization, we look at two different things, which is micro conversion and a macro conversion. Now, a micro conversion could be something like a lead. So we're trying to get someone to download an ebook. It's a smaller step, but it still counts. Like we're still attaching some sort of monetary value to it because we think, okay, if this person's downloaded an ebook, they're worth X amount of dollars because, you know, every 4 out of 5 people, which is probably way above average, who download the ebook will then go and make a sale. So we want to attach some sort of value to that. And it's not a major conversion because it's not maybe the main goal that we're trying to reach, not the main purchase, but it's something that leads on to that purchase. So that's a micro conversion and they're very important. Macro conversion, like I said, is the purchase. It's the subscription. It's whatever it is where someone's pulling out their credit card and they're buying the bigger product. So this could be your main product. So if we think about maybe going back to courses, so a micro conversion could be like a mini course where if we get them to spend $1 or $2, then we know they're at least willing to pull out the credit card and spend that money. So it means they're probably more likely to upgrade to the bigger macro conversion, which would be maybe a $400 or $500 course. Or again, in e-commerce, maybe it's they buy, I don't know, a certain product that is a precursor to a bigger product. So it might be they buy a collar and it's a very cheap collar, and then we will upsell them because we know that we can upsell them to our fantastic dog lead that, you know, I don't know, tracks them via Wi-Fi or what, I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. It's going from a smaller step to a bigger step, essentially. And we want to track both these because, again, it comes down to retargeting. If you think of this like a cycle, we would be retargeting people who've taken the micro conversion action with the macro conversion action. So, again, someone who's downloaded an ebook, we want to actually get them to purchase a product. And then we want to just quickly go back onto the fact of, you know, the cold traffic and some of the goals that I think you should have for these. Like I've mentioned a few already, but Facebook ads, cold traffic, what you want to do is maybe get someone to watch a video. So get them to actually watch a video on your company. And maybe you want to do a series of videos as well. Think about that in a funnel as well. You can do videos in a funnel sequence. So we call that sequencing, where they watch one video and we retarget them the next one, and then we say if they've watched X amount of all these, then okay, we will retarget them with maybe something like an add to cart. That's what we want to get them to do next, or maybe to get them to download. So we want to get them to download a lead like an ebook. So for this, I would say in terms of cold traffic, the two goals I would have is get them to either view content, get them onto the page, get them viewing your product page, or get them watching your videos, preferably in a sequence. So then you can be more intelligent in terms of how you interact with them, how you re-interact with them in terms of retargeting. So warm traffic. So again, this is someone who's visited your page. They've at least been on your website now. So what would I do? Well, the next thing I would do is get them to add to cart, get them to initiate checkout, or like I said, download an ebook or something of that nature. This is where the next step in the funnel comes in. So you actually want to retarget those people we just looked at in the cold audience with something else. So get them to take an action. That's what we want them to do. We actually want them to take an action that we can track that leads us to the possibility that they're going to actually make a sale. So again, add to cart, initiate checkout, or download an ebook, or what we call a lead, is something that I would recommend doing at the warm stage of the traffic funnel. So we want to actually get them to do something that will lead onto a monetary ladder. So it might even just be from $1 to $5 to $50, but we want to get them on that ladder. And this is the stage of the funnel where we want to do that and focus on that. And like I said, we want at least 50 actions for Facebook to be able to start to learn what audience we really want to go after. So like I said, adding to cart is a much easier way of getting someone to take an action. So you're more likely to get more actions of add to carts than you would from purchases. And this brings us on to the hot traffic, or the hot part of the funnel. And what we want people to do, well, we want them to make a sale. We want to sell our main product, service, whatever it might be. Like I said, if it's a main course, which is like a $250 course, and we want to retarget people who've maybe downloaded the ebook for free, or maybe they spent a couple of dollars, and we want to retarget them and offer them a course. And again, in terms of the creative and the copy that we'd be using would be much different to how we would use it in the middle of the funnel in terms of the warm audience. So this could be more about upsells, it could be more about discounts, it could be anything that tries to entice them over the line. They're sitting on the fence in the warm funnel, and we just want them to actually take an action. So how do we kind of tip them over the edge? How do we get them to come over to our side and actually buy something? So this is why I said you probably need to focus on discounts, upsells, or something for free. Or it might be an offer they can't refuse. Now that kind of is a bit of a fluffy concept, but you should know what that is, and you should come up with something. And this is something we'll talk about a little later, which is the offer that someone can't refuse. So think of The Godfather. What is that? Okay, like what is it that we can create that is such an irresistible offer that they can't say no to? This is something you should think about at the very start of your process of selling your product or service. So think about that. And like I said, always work in, if you're going to use a discount, if you're going to offer something for free, make sure that you've at least factored that into your price points. So make sure that you're actually still making money, or you can still make quite a decent margin on that product if you're actually giving discounts. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about was something I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which was the Audience Insights tool for Facebook. Again, you've probably heard me talk about this a lot if you've watched some of my other videos, but it's a great tool to get started. And like I said, you want to use it as a gauge. It's not the be all and end all, but it's something that you can use to kind of get an idea of what other potential interests or page interests that your audience might have. Now, I've also mentioned some other things in another video around analytics and tracking, and one of those is Quantcast. Quantcast is great because you can actually see what pages or what website someone's visited before they've come to your website. So that's great because you can then start to use that in Facebook ads as well as an interest, if that exists in the Facebook ecosystem as a targeting or interest targeting option. So this tool is great because you can kind of get an idea or gauge who your audience actually is, but take it with a grain of salt. You want to still test these. So we're going to start with the United States, so you can select your country here. I usually leave the age range open because I just want to get a good, kind of a good scene of what's going on. And I can usually see that here anyway in the age and gender and relationship status and all that sort of other great stuff that Facebook provide for you. So if I was in the protein game or the supplements game, health supplements, what would I go for? Well, there's GNC. I don't know if that's their GNC shop. We definitely know that is. I think it's closed now. I'm pretty sure it went to receivership. Don't quote me on that. But we can see here, okay, I've selected one thing and I've already got a pretty good section of information. So we can see that men, it looks like, are more likely to look for this product. But there's still a pretty good skew between men and women. It's pretty equal. There's nothing that's kind of, skewed one way or the other. Relationship status, again, take this as a grain of salt, but maybe what it's saying is there's a big proportion of people here that might be shopping for supplements that are single and also married. So, there might be some psychology behind that. If you look at education level, then we've got high school but university is where it's at by the looks of this. So it's more like university grads are actually purchasing more health supplements, according to Facebook anyway. And then if we look down here in job title, you can see how many people or what kind of sector is actually might be your audience. So we've got here military, protective services, veterans. So a lot of this kind of makes sense as well. So this is good, but the really cool thing is once we get into page likes, and hopefully this shows up. Here we go. So we've got some different categories or different interests that people might be interested in that also like this page. So we could see things around GNC, Live Well, so it's a part of GNC, Optimum Nutrition, Shred Supplements, bodybuilding.com. So bodybuilding.com is a bodybuilding forum. So that makes a lot of sense as well. So checks out so far, and we can target these in the interest when we start running ads. Company, Walgreens, Selco, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not from the US. Public figure. So we've got some public figures in here. Dr. Jim Stepani, and if we look this up, this would probably make more sense, hopefully. Maybe he's in the health game. Maybe he's, let's see quickly. Yeah, so we've got something to do with fitness. Okay, so he looks like a massive gym dude, which makes a lot of sense. So great, we could even target him or his audience. Rogue Fitness, Cabela's, I'm pretty sure sports store. Testosterone Nation, so this could be an actual website. And again, probably a forum, I'd imagine, if we went in and have a quick look. Yeah, so it looks like a forum full of articles and whatnot. So again, definitely relevant. This would definitely be relevant. Clothing shop, so 9 apparel. So I just like to check some of these out. Like I just like to do my due diligence and to see if they actually do make sense, because sometimes there'll be stuff in here and it just completely doesn't make sense. Okay, so for veterans, so it could be that we want to target people who are in the military or who are ex-military as well, and create a whole audience around them. Okay, so it's a little bit slow. It could be my internet. Cool. So it's all pretty much military or ex-military. Planet Fitness for gym, and there's a whole bunch of other gyms, Gold's Gym, a whole bunch of other ones in there. UFC makes a lot of sense, and you can even like expand on this and see some other things too if you want to kind of go further. And because sometimes what you'll do is you'll target a gym, for instance, and it won't have enough reach. So when I talk about reach, especially if we're talking the US, you want to at least be targeting 1 million people in your audience. Anything under that, then Facebook's not going to be able to actually learn. And it sounds a little bit weird, because you'd think that narrowing the field would give Facebook a better idea of what they should go after, but it's actually not the case. Facebook's algorithm is very smart, and the more information you give it, or the more kind of, I guess, the more free roam, or the more free roam you give it, kind of loosening the chain, it can go away and do a lot of the learnings for you. That's why I said that having something over 1 million, especially when you're targeting the US, is probably where you want to be in terms of audience size. And we'll have a quick look at that in a minute as well. But you can see here, there's a whole bunch of different things. And you could use these if you really wanted to increase your targeting. Now, as a bonus, or last thing that I'm going to talk about, is how do I target audiences? So again, depending on where you are in the funnel, let's say that we've moved someone all the way through to hot, Well, actually, sorry, let's take that back. All right, so as a bonus, we're going to do a test ad set, and I'll show you how I would use the information that we gathered through the Facebook Insights tool to build an audience in here. So we'll just do test audience because we're not going to set this live. Oh, there we go. And so it's this website. We've got it as a purchase event. I don't think let's say we're targeting the middle of the funnel. So we want to get someone to at least add to cart. So we want to go from cold to warm. Now, actually what? You know what? Let's do it as if we're targeting someone from scratch, because that's probably what you would be doing after looking at the Facebook Insights tool. So my computer's gone a bit wacko. It's probably going to explode any minute now. Let's just get it to view content. So we just want them to actually get to our website. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to target them to view content. That's all we want them to do as a conversion event. Now what would I do? So we would go down to custom audiences. Now, if this was a hot audience, which means, at the bottom of the funnel, maybe I've already got an email list, I would probably install that and then create a lookalike audience off the back of that. If I've got a purchase list, and especially if I've got a LTV audience, which means I know how much someone's spending and they're at a higher lifetime value, which means they've spent more money over time, then I would also include that, because then I could use that to create a lookalike audience and find more people that are like those people that have spent a lot of money on my website. But for this instance, we're saying that this is a brand new site, brand new store. We've never had people on here before, and we're targeting someone at the very top of the cold traffic funnel. So what would I do? So we're targeting Australia. Let's change this to US, because that's what we were doing in the other example. So we're going to target people that, and like I said, my computer is just not happy right now. It is struggling, so it's a little bit choppy. All right, great. So we've targeted US. We want people actually living. This is another mistake a lot of people make. We want people living in this location. So we just want to target people who are living in the United States, not who have visited it, because it could mean people that are from Europe or Asia or anywhere else, like Australia as well, who have visited the United States in the past as well. And that may not be relevant if we're just trying to target people that are living in the United States. So we want to make sure that this is selected. And I mean, sometimes there's a case for doing these other things. We're not going to talk to that now. This is another one that's quite interesting, people traveling to this location. So this could be something you could use in terms of tourism. But for the purpose of this, let's just stick to the basics. We're going to target people living in this location. Then what we want to do, if my computer lets me actually scroll down without it trying to kill itself. The next thing we'll do, if my computer allows me, is actually get to detailed targeting. I'll show you how I do it. A lot of people just try and cram a bunch of different things into the audience, which can work, but I mean, most of the time, like I said, you want to give Facebook free rein and you want to let it go do its thing. So I'm a new protein company, but I want to target people who might be customers of GNC, for instance. So I might go GNC, the shop. In this case, I just want to see how many people it says we're going to be targeting. So about 4 million. That's pretty decent. Maybe I could probably get this down to, so what I would use is suggestions and see if there's anything else in there that we could add. No, I'm just going to leave that. So I just want to target them. The next thing I want to do is actually narrow the audience. So we're just going to narrow it down a little bit, which means it has to match this and this. So when Facebook's looking for something, it has to say, okay, we're looking for GNC and we're going to be looking for, if I can spell it correctly, engaged shoppers. So these are people that Facebook have determined that are more likely to spend online. So we've got engaged shoppers here. So we want people to find people that are interested in GNC and who are more likely to purchase online. So this is who they should be going after. Now, if we look at the targeting, it's come down to about 2 million people, which is perfect. So like I said, it sounds a bit crazy, but this is where we will kind of want to be at. We want to have at least 1 to 2 million people in the audience, and we want to let Facebook go and do its thing. Now, what we want to do is also have different ad sets targeting different audiences. So we might have one for GNC. We might have another one because we looked at bodybuilding, right? So another one, we might go and create another another ad set and do bodybuilding, for instance. Okay, because this is a little bit different to people that just might be buying supplements. These are people that might be doing it competitively, or they're like really super, gym junkies. Like they just want to go and pump weights and get huge, get swole, get ripped. And again, if we look at that, so there's like 15 million of these, which is huge because it is quite a big topic. So 15 million is probably a little bit crazy. You probably don't need to have it that high. So the next thing I would also do is let's see, payments. Well, let me do that. No, it's looking for page admins. Oh, there we go. So people have bought something off Facebook before in the last 30 days. So, okay, not so great. Maybe we can, so this is what happens when, because you're trying to say that it needs to look for all of these three things. And if they don't meet all of these criteria, then don't show them the ad. So what we might want to do is get rid of that. And let's see if that makes any difference. Okay, so that's kind of restricting it too much. Sometimes it works and sometimes not so much. So we're just going to go back to engage shoppers. Oh, geez. Can't wait to set up that new computer, I tell you now. Okay, so we've got engaged shoppers. We're back at 15 million people. So what else could we do? Well, we could narrow it down further. Let's try online shopping or online shopper, for instance. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. That's not me snoring, by the way. So okay, 35,000. It's a bit low. So again, I wonder if now sometimes this does, for some reason, make a difference in the order we put it in. So let's see. Let's see if we get a different result. I'd even go online shopping, to be honest. I'd go online shopping. And then we go engaged shopper. And what does that look like? Okay, so it's not fantastic. We're definitely under the millions, but I mean, if we wanted to get a little bit more targeted, maybe this would be better because at least we're focusing more on people that are trying to purchase. And so the next thing I'd probably check is to see if there's any overlap between these two audiences. There might be, and we can investigate that. There is a tool that you can use to do that, and we'll talk about that when we do the full tutorial, because we'll have everything set up and we'll start sending traffic through. But that's pretty much it. So like I said, you want to create an ad set targeting different audiences. So each ad set would target a different audience, and then you'd have that in a campaign budget optimization campaign. And then you'd put like $50 on it and then let Facebook do its thing. And then what you'll see is one ad set will come out on top, and then you want to, well, Facebook will funnel more money into that, which means you get more conversions, and you want to keep testing more audiences against it. So you want to find one audience that works really well, and then you want to try and beat it with another audience. And that's how you get better. It's always constant testing. Then what you can do is, once you've found like 3 or 4 really good audiences, you want to test something like your creative, and then you want to test your creative in the different in the different ad sets. So Facebook's all about testing and learning, and unfortunately you're gonna have to spend some money. Like I said, unless you've already got a big list or a big audience that you can use to build lookalike audiences on, you're kind of stuck spending money at the very beginning. So that's pretty much it for the intermediate overview of Facebook ads. For the next video, we want to create a deep dive, which will go further into how to set up something in Facebook from pretty much zero to, let's say, heroes. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our print-on-demand store, and over time, over the next couple of months, we're going to be running Facebook ads on that, and we're going to show you how we kind of use Facebook to slowly build up more and more sales. We'll also dive into some examples from clients that we're working with as well. Obviously we have to hide their details, but we can show you some of the results we're getting through Facebook on that as well. Something else we're going to start doing is diving back into some of the SEO stuff we started talking about on Shopify before. We've had a lot of people asking for more Shopify videos around SEO, so we'll definitely dive into that. Then we have our major series on print on demand, which we'll be diving into around t-shirts and also mugs and some other things as well we're going to create for the Nurses Loot store. If you want to see our big deep dive video, then please make sure to smash the like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it also means that we know that you want us to create more content like this, and the next video we're going to do, like I said, is going to be a major deep dive into Facebook ads. It is going to take you from zero to competent. You're going to be a very competent Facebook user after taking our next tutorial. The deep dive will also cover a lot of technical information that these so-called gurus sell for thousands of dollars in their course. We're going to give it to you for free. We think that information should be free, or at least, courses shouldn't cost thousands of dollars. And we're going to give you all that in the next video. So stay tuned. Like I said, make sure you hit the like button. If we get at least 200 likes, we're going to do that video. And make sure you hit subscribe and hit the little bell notification. So that means the next time we drop more of these videos, you'll be the first to know. Thanks for your patience. And again, sorry it's taken so long to get a video out. We promise that we're at least going to have one video out a week going forward. Hopefully no more injuries or no more getting snowed under by client work. So stay tuned for the next video, and we'll see you then.